so what we're going to do today is, since this is our well, this was supposed to be Saturday, but had to work, but we're not missing out on video. So today what I'm going to show you is a simple way, well, this is a very simple recipe to make some survival food that will last indefinitely. There's some that, that still, I don't know how well it would be safe to eat it, but this right here will last you like 20 years, 30 years. There's some that they've found from, I believe, the Civil War time when they used it, that still seems to be the same as when it was made. But yeah, so this is hardtack, also known as ship biscuits. This is something that's been around for centuries, and this is a staple that mariners would use it. They used it as part of the Civil War. The rations would be hardtack. Now, it's easy to make. It's 3 ingredients. We have 4 cups of flour. We have 3 teaspoons of salt, and we have 2 cups of water. It's very simple to make, and it will last. It'll last. Let's just put it that way. All right. So for starters, I always put in my wet first, because it's always easier to. That way you don't have like dry stuff on the bottom. So now what I'll do is I'm going to put the salt in with the flour. And we're going to give that a mix here. I like to use wood. A lot of reasons I prefer using wood. It's what you would find in the wild anyway if you were surviving. So, and just kind of mix that salt in with the flour. Nice little mixture going there. Now this is supposed to be really dry, right? Really, really dry. And then after we get this mixed up, we're actually going to go to the counter over there, and we're going to roll it out. I've already preheated our oven to 375 degrees, and each side, after we get it made, each side does take 30 minutes to bake. Alright, so now we're going to add our flour and salt mixture to our water. And we're going to start mixing this in. Now after I got it mixed in initially, then we're going to use our hands. I have washed and sanitized my hands. Not that it really mattered, because anything that bakes at 375 degrees, it's going to kill it. But this is going to be really, really dry. And then we'll roll it out, and I'll show you how I do mine. Now when this gets finished, for those of you that don't know, it's going to look like a cracker, but you cannot eat it like a cracker. If you try eating it like a cracker, your next stop is going to be the dentist. Let's just put it that way. Take that off. All right. Get it here. We're going to knead this dough up. Again, it should be pretty dry. It should not be a wet dough. Still workable, but it's not wet. It's not like a batter. It's very smooth. And basically, you pretty much bake all the moisture out of it anyway. But now, this video, we're going to show you how to make it. Later on in another video, we'll show you how to cook it, how to eat it. Not really cook it, but how to eat it. Because, again, like I said, if you try, it's going to look like a cracker. But if you try eating it, again, your next stop is going to be the dentist. So, you see that's... this is just flour and water. So, it's very, very... This might actually be a little bit too wet. I'll be right back. We got a little bit extra flour here. And again, you want it to be dry. So you want it to be workable, but not overly sticky. So with that, we're going to take you over to the other side, and we're going to continue this process. All right, so I floured my counter. I have a rolling pin here, and basically we're just going to roll this out to approximately 1/2 inch thickness. Now, a lot of people will say cut this into squares, and that is by all means, that is definitely one way that you can do this, is by cutting it into squares. I have another way that I prefer. Now, this is half of it. I did cut it in half so it's easier to work with. Alright. Okay, so since there's no baking powder in this, it's strictly flour, salt, and water, it's not going to rise. So whatever we roll this out to, that's what it's going to stay. So now what I have here is just, this was a baked bean can. Now, as you know, I believe in reusing everything that we possibly can, because it, you know, if you're in a survival situation, you want to make sure that you're using all of your assets to the best of abilities. So, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this, and I'll explain why I do it this way soon. But, you know, some people, they say cut it in squares, and that's one way to do it. I have a reason for doing it like this, which will become evident once we are finished. All right, so now we have our circles. Now the next step is take a chopstick. I got this from a restaurant. Just a disposable chopstick. And we put our holes in our Artex. I put 6. You can put as many as you want. Some people use a fork. I like using a chopstick. Makes a nice, even. Okay. Get this all finished up here. And we'll get it on our tray over here. Now you put these ungreased. So it is an ungreased pan. I mean, there's virtually no moisture, so it's not going to stick. All right, 3 to go. Then you throw them in the oven. Once I get these on here, we'll throw them in the oven, and then we'll be back in an hour so I can show you the finished product. And then you'll understand why we have round and not square hardtacks. Alright, actually let me get this. There we go. Now, the big thing to remember about this is that, again, this is survival rations, but this is not something that you eat by itself. You can't just say, oh, I'm hungry, I'm going to have some hardtack. Because they are hardtack. So they are definitely, the name is correct. These are very hard. So, but they're also extremely shelf stable. Gotta keep them dry, of course, but alright, so now that they're on there, we're going to get them in the oven, set a timer for 30 minutes, and then we'll be back after an hour to see the final product, and we'll get them stored away. Alright, going in. Alright, so as you can see, our hour has passed, and here we have our hardtack. can see that is extremely hard. Okay? Now, you definitely cannot eat this stuff. This stuff will break your teeth if you eat it. Alright? That is a fact. So, but, and as you can see, they are round. So, and this is how I like to store them. Mason jars. And if you use the, if you use that can like that, you can actually, they will fit in this mason jar almost perfectly. So as you can see, we can just, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can fit probably 11 or 12 in a mason jar. So there you go. Now you have, here we have 10 hardtack. And this stuff will provide very needed carbohydrates to your diet because it's just pure flour. But you can't just eat these, again, like I said. But in a later video, I'm going to show you how to prepare these so they make a nice, wholesome, nutritious, tasty meal.